Hi viewers, and welcome to 2013. Today in New Zealand is January the 4th, and I do say welcome to 2013 with great happiness. I'm pleased to see the end of 2012 go out the back door. It had a lot of really strong vibrations in it, and a lot of them were fear-based or worry or just slightly negative-based emotions and energies which have really held a lot of people down globally. There were also some very strong planet conjunctions and lineups that created issues for people as well. 2013, it's going to be a year full of its own individual aspects. It's not all going to be smooth sailing, but there is an advantage, or there is a higher degree of energies available for you all to manifest more at a quicker rate and manifest the things that you want to if you put your mind to it. So just going back to the Earth readings, which is what we're actually here to do, we note that the very last one in 2012, if you've been following the series, did have an unusually large number of annotations that were added. I completely ran out of space, so had to stop doing that in the course of the video standing. They had the libido card was present, which I have said creates mass compassion events, and there were a couple of positive mass compassion events, but there were numerous global sad events that have created much loss and grief amongst many nations around the country, including America, India in particular, with some very sad instances that went on there, China, Hong Kong. There were just many, the UK, mass compassion events, and we talked about one time wave zero indicators that Terence McKenna was also focusing on a little bit, what they could have meant, and he talked about the speeding up of time. And in that last video was a good example of just how much repeated itself over and over in such a short space of time. It's almost like a time compression feeling was going on. So anyhow, if you're interested in following any of that, I always say go back to the previous video. The links will be below this video. So we'll start moving on with the first reading, Earth prediction reading for 2013. And the very first card that arrived is the one you see in front of you, which is the Fool. Now the Fool is an interesting card. It actually portends a person on a new journey, and what an interesting card to get at the very beginning of a new year for the first reading. So I think again that even makes me feel we're on a new level of energies that we're all going to be able to grab into this year with a little bit more enthusiasm and flow. The Fool, however, in the Earth predictions readings often indicates things falling from space, or things falling over or off. So we see the house in the distance. I think sometimes too it indicates shaking of houses or buildings falling, whether it be through earthquake related issues or perhaps slide related issues. So we see that with the Fool. We see a tree here in the foreground and a cliff. Just those would be the energies that I think of there. The second card that arrived is the Liberation card. Again we see someone on a horse in the background heading off. So we've got lots of heading offs or new journeys or fleeing or leaving, moving away from things. In this case this looks to be happening in a great hurry. And I see water underneath the bridge here at the background, really strong surging water as well. So whether or not it's indicative of some sort of flooding, people having to leave somewhere in a hurry, animals that could be affected with this reading as well, because we see in the foreground a snake or a serpent, and that is a horse. We're seeing the door being left completely open. So it's something happening in quite a hurry, and people are leaving in a hurry. It could have to do with houses or buildings as well. And the other thing that this card makes me think about a little bit, this snake here, I often think of Australia when I see snakes, just because I do understand that they live with A lot of snakes over there. So I wonder if there's something in this reading for Australia where people will be fleeing in a hurry. And then the next card that came out from that was the home card. And often the home card denotes for us here in New Zealand activity closer to home. We see again an animal in the card. So I'm still thinking animal related energies. Could it be mass die-offs? Could there be specific new information relating to animals? Something along those lines. And I also note a fire here. Oftentimes I do think of the northern hemisphere at the moment because they're in winter. That is a fire in a house keeping people warm. But because it's the home card, I'm wondering, are we talking fires down here in the southern hemisphere? In Australia maybe, possibly even New Zealand. We're quite dry here at the moment and hot, although we have had a lot of strange arson attempts on a lot of properties in Christchurch down there. The houses that have been left to stagnate after the earthquakes that are no longer habitable are slowly being, I guess, burnt to the ground because they're pretty much useless for everyone anyhow. The next card that arrived was the stars card, and it adds up to an 11, 22. They're spiritual numbers and they're not necessarily numbers of ease. They quite often have a little bit of difficulty with them. When the stars cards shine up, it's almost as if there's a galactic interaction or component to the reading. It's as if something that we can't necessarily alter or change. It's beyond us. It's to do with the heavens or the gods. I also think of it as connecting, it's to do with stars, planets, planet lineups, Orion's belt, gamma ray bursts, magnetosphere issues, space issues, asteroids, meteorites, the planet alignments. Could it be also things falling from space or going into space, or knowledge and answers about space, finding new information? Could it also be about North Korea and the rocket launch? These are the types of thoughts that come to mind when the stars turns up. The next card that came out was the beauty card. The last time the beauty card arrived, we had a rather strange death of one of the wealthiest European ladies. I forget her name at the moment. But anyhow, that happened. She was murdered, I think. I think they took her husband in as the main culprit for that event. So the beauty can denote a negative aspect happening to a famous person. Someone that we think of either in the celebrity world or the political world or the royalty, monarch type realm. Looks very sort of middle European type, up through the air, English, European. I did think initially of Hillary Clinton, but it's nice to see that she has actually gone. She was released from the hospital yesterday and there is talk that she will be back at work. Now, I did just find out that Kim Kardashian has announced her pregnancy, and I see here this beauty actually looks to be holding her stomach in a very strange manner, almost as if there is a pregnancy there. So sometimes this card can denote favourable outcomes and sometimes it can be less favourable with issues that aren't as perhaps pleasant. We'll just keep our eye on that. This reading's going to stand for about a month. The last card that arrived was the work card. It's been a busy card, that one, for the last few readings. Again, I sit there saying it's to do with galactic alignment. That's not going to change. The whole year we are going to see temperatures and storms continue. Our planet and the atmosphere around us and our galaxy and solar system are changing. There is no doubt about that. So these cards, when they reappear, just reaffirm those energies that exist anyhow. It's up to us on a personal level to try and work with what we're given at our own level to harmonise or create positivity for ourselves. But the work card can denote planetary issues, solar issues, lineups, anything really to do galactically, the same as the stars card. So there's 2 messages in there about the stars and the universe. There's also 2 messages about houses and buildings. The work card also donates issues at work, things that can happen at work. I believe there was an evacuation in Iran of a nuclear plant just recently. And I mentioned in my 2013 predictions reading that we were going to have nuclear issues this year, and that is, believe me, going to happen. Nuclear power really has to be outed on this planet for us to remain in a safe environment. There will also be issues to do with the big vehicles, because looks like a big engine to me. It looks like a ship engine or a plane engine, buses, trucks, those type of things that ferry people around. There can be incidents involved with that, or accidents, something along those lines. So there you are, guys. Things to do with space, things falling from space, houses perhaps shifting, moving, being affected some way, whether people fleeing situations in a hurry, can be to do with waters, flood waters rising or falling, and perhaps animal effects. In fact, I remember hearing that there had been another mass bird die-off somewhere in America as well. So hey, we'll get the annotations up and running as the month goes on. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate the fact that you all watch and listen. I enjoy doing them. They seem pretty accurate to date. A lot of these messages that come forth do carry on and work their way through. So happy 2013 again, everyone. Peace for you all. Kia kaha, stand tall, eyes open, no fear, be happy.